Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. The House Judiciary Committee just released video footage of Jack Smith telling us all about Donald Trump's crimes on January 6th. According to Jack Smith, January 6th was an assault on our democracy that resulted in law enforcement, cops getting beat up, and Donald Trump running around the White House calling members of Congress.
January 6th was an attack on the structure of our democracy in which over 140 heroic law enforcement officers were assaulted. Over 160 individuals later pled guilty to assaulting police that day. Exploiting that violence, President Trump and his associates tried to call members of Congress in furtherance of their criminal scheme, urging them to further delay certification of the 2020 election. I did not choose those members. President Trump did.
And it gets worse. According to Jack Smith, there were people in Trump's orbit that campaigned for him, even wanted him to win, that told Jack Smith that they knew what Donald Trump was doing was illegal and that he wanted to overthrow the government. Republicans said this.
We had numerous witnesses who would say, I voted for President Trump. I campaigned for President Trump. I wanted him to win. The Speaker of the House in Arizona, the Speaker of the House in Michigan. We had an elector in Pennsylvania who is a former congressman who is going to be an elector for President Trump, who said that what they were trying to do was an attempt to overthrow the government and illegal. Our case was built on, frankly, Republicans who put their allegiance to the country before the party. And so the president got information from people he trusted on other issues. He rejected it whenever it didn't fit him staying in office.
Now, listen to Jack Smith say that Donald Trump is the one person that is most culpable for what happened on January 6th. Wow.
You said that the reason why, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you charged the president was that he was the most culpable person related to the crime of attempting to criminally overturn the 2020 election. Do you recall saying words to that effect earlier today?
Yes, and because we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt and met the requirements in the federal principles of prosecution.
And I believe you said some of the false claims he was putting out created a certain level of distrust about the validity of the election of 2020. Do you recall saying something like that as well?
Correct. That's alleged in the indictment. Correct.
Now, listen to Jack Smith break down how Donald Trump knew he would be in the lead for a little bit in the state of Pennsylvania, but then after the mail-in ballots started coming in, he would start to lose that lead. Listen to how Jack Smith says Donald Trump was briefed on this by his own people and chose to ignore it and spread a lie to his supporters.
He was on notice in this election that in Pennsylvania, for example, that he would be ahead in the vote count for a period of time, and then when the mail-in ballots were counted, his lead would dissipate. He chose to represent that phenomena that he'd been briefed on, that was normal course of an election, that all sides knew that that's how it was going to be. He chose to present that as evidence of fraud. And to people who are not maybe as informed as him or informed as his campaign managers who told him these things, that's the sort of thing that creates distrust. There were fraud claims in Michigan, Georgia, where he was specifically disabused by people he trusted, by political allies, by the people when he chose to call them who are best situated to know. In Georgia, I'm thinking of the Secretary of State. He reflexively rejected those things and continued to state false things after he'd been told that repeatedly that they weren't true.
Now, back to the attack on law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Smith says that there were people at the Capitol with weapons, one of which took an officer's gun.
I do recall there were people who certainly had weapons at the Capitol. That I recall with certainty, and there's people who used weapons, whether they be poles or sticks or other weapons, against police officers. I know there was one officer who they took his gun. And so the use of weapons against members of law enforcement, it was outrageous, but it figured heavily in what happened at the Capitol that day.
Now, that's disturbing, but there's one last thing, and it has to do with Vice President Mike Pence, who arguably, honestly, he changed history in this country. He saved a lot of Americans.
I think Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, falls into the category that I described before. He did something that was very hard to do. He went against his party. He paid a price for it. But I think, again, someone like that putting country over party, I think he would have been an effective witness. He did not agree to go along with it.
I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but Donald Trump does not deserve to be the president of the United States anymore. Enough is enough. When you have that much evidence that Donald Trump tried to overthrow the United States of America and even have his own vice president unalived, and you layer that with everything that's currently happening right now in the United States of America, I think it is now time for us to do the most American and patriotic thing all of us have ever had to do in our lifetime, and remove this demon from the White House so that the rest of us do not continue to be punished. That's what's necessary right now. Stop all this fake outrage, you MAGA cult members, you MAGA demons, about Democrats and fraud, and open up your eyes and look at the fact that Donald Trump is the one person responsible for all of your suffering right now. Enough is truly enough. This man is un-American. He is self-centered. He's evil. He's vile. He's a demon. And he does not deserve to be the president of the United States of America. Sheesh.